Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in today's video we're going to be looking at these guys. These are the silver dollars. I have been wanting to do a species profile on these fish for a long time. Have a big group of them in our fish room, but I thought it would be cooler to show you these because they are in a massive aquarium over at Fish Gallery. They are just north of Dallas, and if you're ever in the area, definitely worth checking out this aquarium as well as all of their fish. I will be also using footage from the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium located in Springfield, Missouri. I'll have all their contact information in the description below. If you're in either one of the areas, two places definitely worth checking out. Silver dollars undoubtedly are very misunderstood fish in my opinion. You look on the internet and there is all kinds of conflicting information, and so I've been keeping these fish off and on for a long time. Thought I would provide my opinion. I think thing number one is these fish can get a lot larger than most people realize. Now there's different types. You've got the standard silver dollars, you've got the red hooks, the spotted. There's a lot of different types, and the size variation is going to be, it's going to depend on the variety of silver dollar, on the species. But generally speaking, you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 8 inches. Now in this aquarium, these guys were getting pretty close to full grown, but let me show you how large this aquarium was. That's right, this aquarium is thousands of gallons, and you don't need anything nearly that large for these fish, but you can see some almost full-grown giant gouramis in there to give you an idea of how large this aquarium was. Okay, so silver dollars. Coloration, for the standard silver dollar, you're pretty much looking at this. It's silver in color. Males are going to get a little bit more red on the fins than the females do, but I think one of the things that attracts people to this fish is that very vibrant silver color. Their temperament, I think, is where people sometimes don't fully appreciate this fish. Thing number one, they can be a little skittish. And so if you come up to the tank really fast, if you make any sudden movements, sometimes they will just freak out, and they are prone to injuring themselves from time to time. But the other interesting thing is when they are not freaked out, as you can see here, they're perfectly calm. They're actually not super active fish. They tend to just kind of slowly swim around the tank, mostly in groups. I would call them a loosely shoaling fish, but it's not anything where they're going to often school super tightly. Another thing to consider is these fish, because they can get startled, they like to jump. And so you're going to want to make sure that your tank has a nice fitting lid. They're mostly peaceful, at least around other fish, but they can chase smaller fish, and they will sometimes chase one another around. In our group that we have at home, we've got some fin nipping going on between the silver dollars, and so usually the way that you deal with that, larger groups are better. Now, another thing about these fish that I think people really love is if you're looking for a fish that is going to be a kind of a dither fish or a shoaling / schooling fish, this can be great if you've got a larger aquarium, especially if you've got medium to larger size South or Central American cichlids. This is really a solid choice because they grow too large to be just completely eaten by those other fish. Now, if they're really aggressive, bad choice because they'll bully these fish, they'll tend to hide, get stressed out, and they won't live very long. Speaking of that, their lifespans easily can be 8 to 12 years. I've had silver dollars that have lived pretty close to a decade. The group that we have right now has got to be at least 5 or 6 years old. Retail price is all over the place. If you want small standard silver dollars like you're seeing here in a lot of this video, it could be anywhere from $5 to $8. If you want some of the larger ones or their red hook or their spotted, you could be spending anywhere from $40 to $50 each. And again, that can build up when you're considering that you need a larger group. Hey, by the way, if you are looking for these fish or pretty much any fish and you're going online, check out Flip Aquatics, flipaquatics.com. Their information is in the description below. They sell fish that they quarantine for 2 weeks. Their shrimp they're quarantining for 4 weeks. They do it right. So check out Flip Aquatics if you are looking for fish online. That is the place to go. That's where we go. So when you're looking for tank mates for silver dollars, keep these guys in groups. The common wisdom is, keep at least 6. I would recommend with the silver dollars, go bigger, 8, 10, 12, 15. The larger the group, typically, just like you're seeing in this video, the more comfortable they are going to be. Even in real small groups, 3 or 4, sometimes they can be pretty reclusive. Other tank mates, larger barbs, and so you're seeing some in here like the filamentous barb, mascara barbs, usually work out great. This is a really good match for some of your larger but not super aggressive South and Central American cichlids like your Severums, Oscars, Electric Blue Acara, Geophagus, these would fit in really nice with those. If you want something a little bit smaller, some of the larger tetras like your Buenos Aires, your red eyes, your Colombian tetras would work out just fine. Your larger barbs like your tiger barbs, I already mentioned the mascara barbs. You see tinfoil barbs in here, rose line sharks are in here. Those are all really great options. You could also put them with cory cats. Bristlenose plecos are fine. This is not a fish that I would consider to be shrimp safe. They'll probably eat your shrimp. They will eat smaller fish, and so if you had, like, let's say really small rasboras or really small tetras, don't be surprised to see those eventually go missing. I would not put these fish with bettas only because I think those long tails on a male betta would be a little bit too enticing for them, so just keep that in mind. For water parameters, not super hard to care for. Keep them somewhere around 75 to 80 degrees. We keep ours 78 to 80. pH anywhere from a 6 to an 8. Our pH is closer to an 8. They've been living in that pH for many, many years. Water hardness on your GH and KH anywhere between, let's say, 3 or 4 degrees up to 12-ish or so. Our degrees hardness on both our GH and KH are pretty close to a 10. Again, no issues there whatsoever. One thing you want to keep in mind, make sure your tank is well cycled. If you don't know what that means, check out that nitrogen video right there, the nitrogen cycle video. That is a must. Fish keepers should definitely know about that because these fish do horribly when there is an ammonia or nitrite spike. They're usually one of the first ones to wind up not living through that if you wind up with one of those spikes. Feeding these fish is really easy. We feed primarily North Fin foods, and that would be North Fin flakes and pellets. They are mostly herbivores. They really love the kelp flakes and the kelp pellets from North Fin. Keep in mind that these guys will also tend to eat pretty darn aggressively. So if you've got really slow eaters in the tank, like let's say adult angelfish, they might get out-competed for food by the silver dollar just because when food hits the water, they tend to be pretty fast eaters. They are going to eat plants. The plants that you're seeing throughout this video in both tanks are fake. And the reason for that is silver dollars will eat anything green, and I mean anything. I have fed them hornwort, duckweed. So if you've got a duckweed problem in your fish room, this is a great fish for that. You can scoop it out by the netfuls, chuck it in there. Silver dollars will eat that. They also love to eat snails. I used to take ram's horn snails and pond snails by the handful, throw them in our 150, and they would eat those things. They absolutely love those for a snack as well. Now, when it comes to tank size, this is where I think the internet is, at least a lot of the suggestions here are just completely off. You're looking at a fish that can be at times active, definitely can get on the larger side, definitely needs to be in a school. I would not keep silver dollars personally long-term in anything less than a 125 or a 6-foot tank, just because of their size, because of the size of the schools that really make them feel comfortable. Now, again, what we're seeing here throughout this video, that's a pretty extreme example, right? We've got thousands of gallons at Fish Gallery. This tank at the Wonders of Wildlife was definitely many hundreds of gallons as well. So yeah, we don't need a tank that large, but I would highly recommend at least a 125 for these fish. So for my silver dollar tanks, the setup is actually pretty easy because it's a lot of rocks, a lot of wood. So I've got some structure there, but keep in mind, these guys are open water swimmers. And again, if they get startled, they can bump into things. And so I want to make sure they've got plenty of space, open water space, but live plants are out of the question. They're gonna shred. I mean, they've eaten everything. Anubias, crypts, you name it, they eat it. Sword plants. They don't mind a little bit of flow, so keep that in mind too. Not a lot, nothing extreme, but there can be a little bit of flow there as well. And this is another fish that if your tank is undergoing any kind of low oxygen levels or oxygen stress, these will be some of the first fish along with tinfoil barbs and ballast sharks that are going to show that off and really start to experience that stress. So if a filter goes out, something like that, these guys don't do well in those very stagnant water setups. Breeding them, you can do it. Most people don't, just because the males and females are going to be mostly egg scatterer types. You put some moss in there, some spawning mops. Sometimes they'll lay the eggs even on larger leaves. Usually you're going to want to remove the adults. They don't go out of their way to eat the eggs of the fish, but it's just best to remove all the other inhabitants and let the fry grow out. The problem with that, of course, is going to be you're going to get a lot of fry. These fish can drop a lot of eggs. And then once they do, it's going to take a few days, maybe 3 to 5, depending on the water temperature that you have, for them to hatch out. From there, they're going to need fry food, and then you can move them up to live baby brine. But it's just not a fish that a lot of people try to breed because there's not a massive market for them either. The positive aspects of these fish, I think, are awesome. They're generally pretty peaceful. except sometimes they can get a little bit rowdy with one another. They tend to be fairly calm, as you're seeing throughout this video. They get big enough so that if you want to keep them in a group with some larger fish, South and Central American, not super aggressive type cichlids, you can do that. But you are going to have some challenges. So the best way to keep these guys is actually in a lower light setting. They, generally speaking, you don't want anything that's going to bully them and stress them out and cause them not to eat, and then they're not going to live nearly as long. And if you don't keep them in larger groups, they can tend to be a little bit shy. And of course, your planted tanks are out. So if you've got a setup with some South Central American cichlids, you want something a little bit larger, this might be a great option for you. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you want to see more on some tank mates for these guys, check out those videos in the upper right hand corner, upper right and lower right hand corner, as well as the description below. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here, everybody.